Hey, and welcome back to Business Bloopers Laughing Through the Pain. I'm Bethany, your guide through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, management, and everything in between. Each week, we'll dive into outrageous stories, laughable blunders that will remind us all that while business can be serious, it doesn't all have to be work and no play. Now grab your coffee, settle in, and let's dive into today's episode of Business Bloopers Laughing Through the Pain. Welcome back to another episode of Business Bloopers Laughing Through the Pain. We have the none other than the Sam Mccollum on this episode with us.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, I'd like the clapping in the background.
Yeah, please add.
Yeah. So today, Dad, I brought you on to talk about some of the things that we have gone through together, laughing through the pain. Because this may not come as a surprise to some people, but some people don't know us, so we are extremely alike. We battle personality-wise because we are very strong-willed. You know, my dad, you can even talk about your history with your business, has tried to guide me, in the best way that he has wanted me to do my business, and I have pushed against that every step of the way. So, so tell them a little bit about your business and what the business that you owned.
Yeah, I had a pizza shop and an ice cream shop. It was all in the same building. Then we had an 18-hole miniature golf course. We owned it for about 5 years, and then we decided that wasn't the direction we wanted to go with our lives. So we sold it and moved on. But yeah, you learn a lot by trial and error, that's for sure.
Well, and elaborate a little bit of why you decided to get rid of it and why you do some of the things that you tell me to do today.
Okay, yeah. Well, obviously, didn't have a lot of experience in the restaurant business, so a lot of it you learn the hard way. And unfortunately, employees just drove us crazy. And we got to a certain point where I said, this just isn't what I want to do the rest of my life, so we decided to get rid of it. But my point to you is, I went through all those problems and all the struggles and made all the mistakes. I don't want you to make the same.
Right, sure. Right. And I listened to all of them.
Yeah, every one of them.
Every single one.
Yeah,
I understand what you
one.
mean. So one funny story that we could start with is, in particular, my mom worked with my business, and then I worked full time. So when I decided, it was about 1.5 years in, I said, you know what, Dad, I think we're busy enough. I think let's just go full time. I think I can go full time. He's like, absolutely not. He's going, maybe your 5-year goal is to go full time. I just don't think you're ready. And my mom and I were working behind the scenes the whole time. So, we're kind of like, I think we're ready. I think we're ready to take that, next step. And
we have to understand, from a dad's point of view, the fear is always that your kids are coming back home. Okay? So she has a really nice full-time job that's going to work perfectly fine for her and her husband, and she wants to quit that perfectly good job to start her own business. And I'm like, no, you are not ready. You definitely don't want to do that. Until I went over at Christmas time.
Right.
And she had everything set up, her machines in her basement, and I couldn't even get through the basement because boxes of her apparel were sitting everywhere. And I'm like, you might need to look for another place.
Yeah.
You might even think about going full time. So.
Right. Yeah. So I didn't listen, of course, and I went full time the month before COVID shut us down.
Yeah. Great plan.
So talk about laughing through the pain with that one.
Yeah.
So that was one time, and then the second time that we decided, hey, we need a new building. Let's lease.
Okay, no. She said, we need to rent a retail space somewhere or a commercial space somewhere. So then I get a call, Dad, we have a building we want to go look at. I said, I didn't know that building was for rent. Oh, it's not. We want to buy it. No. We get back to the no again. You can't buy a building. You're not going to do that. Well, just come look at it with me.
I'm stubborn. So I said, all we have to do is say no. We can just tell them no, and let's just go look at it. So we came with a realtor friend of ours, and he's walking us through the building, and I knew as soon as we hit the floor here, it was concrete floor. My machines have to be on a certain, they weigh so much, so they have to be on a certain floor. And I knew as soon as it was concrete, I said, this is meant to be. And actually, it's funny too, because I had called a local guy that owns a bunch of retail spaces here and said, hey Dave, do you have any, spots available for lease because, we're growing and, yada yada. So he said, oh, I actually just rented it out. They just signed the papers like 2 days ago. I'm like, daggone it. So then we found this place. My dad and I walk through it. I get to the end.
Well, should tell you, her grandfather had a real estate office, and I sold real estate for about 15 years. So that's why she always wanted my opinion more than being the dad, because I'd done real estate before. So we go through the building, and of course I'm going through the building. No. And I start looking through the building, and we come upstairs, and I went to the second floor, and I'm like, how much do they want for this? And she told me, and everything was solid. The heat, the electric, the plumbing, everything was solid in the building. And I said, you need to buy the building.
Well, here, he's all gung-ho by the time we get through it, okay? It's great. We get to the top. He looks at me and is like, what's wrong? I had to have been white as a ghost. And I said, what am I going to do with a 6,000 square foot building? I mean, there's so much space here, so no, but it was.
Well, at that point, you'd only owned your house how many years? 3 years, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
3.5.
the first thing you had purchased was the house, and now I'm telling you to buy a 6,000 square foot building. Yeah. So this is what happens. You just kind of roll with the punches.
Roll with the punches, for sure. Oh, yeah. And this building has been nothing but, so my dad has always helped us, anything we needed. Painting, moving, whatever a typical dad does. They just help their kids. But the one time my dad couldn't help me was on the time that we had to load the machine. Was it into the house?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was in the basement.
It was the first one, right? Yeah, the first. Yeah. So we got our first forehead, and I touched on it a little bit in a different episode. But my dad, of course, had hip replacement surgery, so he selfishly couldn't help bring this machine home.
Shoot, timing was just terrible.
So I remember FaceTiming you, bringing this machine in.
Well, you have to understand, I don't know if you explained this before or not. They took a 1,500 to 1,600 pound machine on the back of a flatbed truck that hauls cars down over the hill. They extend the bed out as far as it would go, take the railing off the porch, and realize it's 6 feet short.
I forgot.
So now they have to go get wood and try to build some sort of scaffolding that they can roll this 1,600 pound machine across. And then got to the door, you remember would fit in the door.
Yes.
So they had to take pieces off the machine to get it. It was a nightmare. I'm glad I wasn't there.
It was funny. I was looking back through videos, and the guys were standing at the bottom holding the machine up, because the guy that had delivered the machine with the company, he said, now guys, we can't put all this pressure on our, little wedge we had made, so you're going to have to take a couple 100 pounds off of it. So I literally have a video of like 15 guys, like 4 of them holding the machine up as it's rolling across, and then, they couldn't get over the lip of the door frame, so they're pushing, and I remember Braxton and our friend Dylan at the time are grabbing it and trying to man it up. Oh, I mean, it was a sight to see. It was a sight to see. And then, in the video, I didn't realize the tow truck got stuck. They had to go get another tow truck and lunch it out.
Perfect.
So here they are lunching this tow truck out, and
so
God bless Herb from Wade's.
Yeah, Herb, thank you. So what do we do? She buys a building right on the main road. Perfect. Except it's got a 8-inch step to get in the front door for these 2 now 1,600 pound machines.
Yeah.
So thank goodness your husband's a welder.
Yeah, and made beautiful wedges that like ramps that we could just run right up. The nice thing about the machines are they fit through a normal size door. So with the door frames here, they're a little wider, which is perfect. We didn't think anything of it, doing it before, and so we rolled it right up on those wedges. And
it's kind of like fathers. When your kids say, I want to be in a band, and instead of playing flute, they play the tuba. Okay? That's kind of what it's like with her big machine. Okay? You can't have a little thing you stick in a suitcase and you carry in the door. No, we have to bring half the town in to move these things.
Oh, it was horrid too. Oh my gosh. Just thinking back on some of the stories. So, what's a specific scenario that you remember helping with the business or anything that we've had to laugh through the pain?
You know, Dad can do everything, he thinks, and can help with everything. So I get a call one night, we need you to trim. Okay, so that means after something's embroidered, you have to trim the thread off the back of it. Perfect. I come up, scissors, sit down. First thing I do is cut the garment. It's ruined. It's ruined. So Dad, who wants to fix everything, can't do anything.
Oh wait, not only that. Wasn't the guy coming like that?
Oh
day to
yeah,
pick them
and
up?
it was a special order shirt, so it's not even like you could run anywhere and buy one, and the guy was picking it up that day.
My gosh, we were trying to find it at Walmart. We're trying to find it everywhere to replace this item.
Yeah. So sometimes you just have to laugh and keep on moving.
Oh my gosh, and we've had so many scenarios where I've called you and, Dad, hey, can you come, help me trim? I got this big order, and, I don't know if Mom's babysitting or, what have you.
Or
go ahead.
You get to call, Dad, my building's on fire.
No.
What do you mean your building's on fire?
Don't tell this story.
I'm like,
Don't tell
your
this
building's on fire? I smell smoke, Dad. I smell smoke bad.
It was getting worse in my feelings.
I'm like, well, go watch and see if there's, if you see where the smoke's coming from. I can't see anything, but you got to come up here and check it.
I mean, I'm facing my apartment because I'm like, oh, we're on fire.
So I hurry up here. I come running in the building. I've got a flashlight. I'm looking around. I don't see anything. I'm like,
wait, can I tell what you said to me?
Yeah.
You sure you didn't cook breakfast? It smells like burnt toast. I'm like, no, I promise you, I just rolled out of bed. It woke me up. I'm not cooking toast.
So we look all around, can't find anything.
Wait, don't say it again. I said, you think we should call the fire department? And he's like, no, let's just give it a second to figure out what it is.
I don't see smoke or flames. I said, we probably ought to hold off a little bit. Thank goodness, because nearby was a barbecue food truck that the smoke was coming up and coming in the window.
That they had set up for the farmer's market. And that's our good buddy Troy at What's Smoking Barbecue.
Yeah, What's Smoking Barbecue. Yep, because I kept saying, it smells like food. It smells like food.
I'm calling my friends, they're in fire departments out in West Green, and I'm like, listen, my building, smells like it's on fire, and I'm not sure what to do. And they're like, well, if you think it's that bad, you need to call the fire department. Thank God. I did not call the fire department. I would have been so embarrassed. Yeah. And I was right. The smoke was getting worse.
Right.
But they were ramping up for the day, so.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And not only have I talked you into trimming, you are also part-time heat presser.
Master heat presser now. Yeah, master. As long as I don't heat press for myself, I can do shirts all day and then get mine crooked. I don't know how that happens.
You hold them up and you're like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh. After you've stood there and made sure that the seams were level and, you're going through this whole thing and you hold it up and you're like, what if you just cock your head to the side? It's perfect. You're good to go.
Yeah.
There were so many times. I've even just a couple days ago, I pressed a shirt wrong and I'm like, daggone it. I'm like, Jess, you get a new shirt.
It's funny. I tell her all the time, you're going to be like me at my age, meaning you're going to look back and go, why did I ever do that? Why did I do that? So now I say to her, take it from your 60-year-old self. That's not what you want to do right now. Yes. So you want to try something different.
How about carting the heat press to the fair to set up and press shirts?
Oh, yeah.
At the fair.
Yeah. You become, it's great. You work your whole career, you get a college degree, and you really try to achieve something, and then all of a sudden you become the road worker for your kids. So you haul things, you carry things, you run and get things, the
advice giver, the money giver.
Yeah.
Every now and again. We'll buy lunch and he'll buy lunch,
Mm-hmm.
We just say, put it on account.
Yeah, put it on account. On account, I ain't got no money.
We have sure had some good times. There have been some not so great times where we've really butt heads and, still to this day, it's never going to stop.
Well, business isn't easy. And if you're watching this, you know that. But you still have to find the humor in it. You have to laugh through the pain. You have to just keep moving. Tomorrow's a new day. It's going to get better, and you're still going to enjoy what you do once you get through the hard times. So,
100%.
yeah.
What was your first reaction when I told you that I was going to start a business in general?
First reaction was probably something like,
"What do you mean?" No.
It was absolutely not. Because I'd owned a business, and there's nothing like that paycheck every 2 weeks that's coming no matter what. You have sick days, you have vacation days, whatever. When you own your own business, it's 24/7.
You mean that 2 weeks of maternity leave wasn't enough?
Yeah.
In the back door.
2 weeks should have been plenty.
Or the 11:30 at night running, ads.
We call her. She's going to be induced the next day to have a baby. Okay? So we call her, and I'm like, what are you doing? She says, I have to run this order. I have to get this order done before I go in. I said,
one more order.
You're giving birth tomorrow. You can't do that. She's like, oh, yeah. So till 11:30, the night before she gave birth, she was in here running shirts.
I was trying to work that baby out of me.
Yeah. Which must have worked because you have a beautiful daughter and everything went great the next day. So, yeah. And like you said, 2 weeks maternity leave and she's back on the job. So.
Right. And that is a downfall, like you said, about owning your own business. There's pros and cons, of course, as we all know. And one downfall is I didn't get a full maternity leave with my daughter. So that is one thing I do regret. But I still have the flexibility and the freedom to be able to go. My husband works a full-time job, so if I need anything with my daughter, and that was one big reason I decided to get into this business was because of the flexibility. Of course it's hard. Of course we've cried multiple times, we've laughed multiple times, but the flexibility and the instant gratification for customers, like when they pick up those items that, oh my gosh, that looks great, or thank you so much, or you're meeting deadlines, and that's really the adrenaline we run off of here. But my gosh, I look back and look at some of the stuff that we've done, and I just laugh. My mom will be on an episode, and she has plenty of stories of when she first started and was running the machines by herself, and we'll get more into that though. But my parents have seen me grow from nothing, absolutely nothing, to...
Well, there's nothing greater than watching your kids succeed. And, I talk about moving the machines and doing all the extra work and whatever, but when you stand back and watch your daughter program these digital machines, run these machines, run the whole business, it's overwhelming. It's so exciting. It's really gratifying.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
It really is.
We said we're going to cry. Absolutely. But yeah, so... Anything else you'd like to share?
Did we want to talk about the wedding gown, or was that not the right time? Okay. Talk about that another time, maybe. Oh, about the business.
Any other memories that jump out at you?
Just how you've been blessed with employees, with family, in the sense that when things do get tough, everybody jumps in to help you.
Oh gosh, I have to give credit to Nicole's husband, Jeremy.
Yes.
I mean, he has worked countless hours here with us, and her whole family, not on the clock. They've never worked
Never
here.
on the clock because they're kids.
They're kids.
Right.
They are upstairs watching TV. And same thing. Jess and her husband, we threw a food truck event in April, and both her and her husband were brand new to embroider, didn't know us from Adam, and they're there to help. And we have great friends. Our buddy Dalton has worked with us since we've started, and he's been wonderful. And all of our friends, they've all jumped in to help where we need them to. So
right.
I think that's a huge thing too, is a huge support system. And I will say that my parents I talk to them 4 or 5 times a day. Where I'm asking them, hey, do you think this is good? Do you think this is good? Always running ideas past them. But my parents are never one to say, no, don't ever do that. You know what I mean? They're always like, well, let's talk about it. Might not be the best time right now, but maybe down the road, or maybe that's not such a great idea.
Well, as a dad, you learn to say things like, let me think about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's your favorite.
Let's think about that a little bit. So, and usually, if it's a spur-of-the-moment idea, you talk yourself out of it before I ever get back to you anyhow.
Yep.
So that little extra time is always good.
I did have someone say one time, he's another local business owner, that I said, how do you you come up with all these great ideas, but how do you determine which ones to go after? And he said, well, I write them all down and I let them marinate until, one particular one, if they make it to the top, that is the one we're going to pursue. If they don't, then those are just ones we're going to kick to the wayside. So we have had some, just since we bought the building, we got married, we bought the building, we put an apartment in upstairs, so my husband and I live upstairs. We had a baby, we started another business, we hosted a food truck event that we threw together in 3 months. So I like the adrenaline of being a business owner, not only just an embroiderer, but...
Well, and if I could say one thing, don't let fear get in your way, because fear will try to block you from doing anything successful. So, just like you said, I was sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, you bought a building, you got married, you have your own business, then you had a baby. Why would you do that? But if you do that, if you let fear talk you out of what you really want to do, then you'll regret it. So go for it.
100%. It's scary. And I had another meeting with a business owner just 2 weeks ago, and he's telling me that he had to, I'd love to have him on a podcast, so I'd rather not tell his whole story. But he was telling me the trials and tribulations that he went through, and it's absolutely wonderful coming out of the other end. You claw through the trenches, and we fight every single day, and we actually created a brand called Battle and Thrive, and it's the peaks and the valleys, that you go through every single day of business, and but it's wonderful. You laugh through it, you cry through it, your support system is great. So I never want to deter anyone away from starting their own business. But that's why you listen to our podcast, because we'll get you through some of those tough times.
Absolutely.
But I think that wraps up our podcast for today, and I thank my dad for being on here, and I'm sure we'll see him again some other time. But thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. And that wraps up another great episode of Business Bloopers, Laughing Through the Pain. We hope you had a good laugh and maybe even found some inspiration in the stories we shared today. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. We love hearing your feedback and any bloopers that you'd like to share. Join us next time for more laughs, lessons, and maybe a few more of our own business blunders. Until then, keep smiling, keep learning, and remember, in the world of business, it's okay to laugh at yourself. Thanks for listening.